Are we on? Yes, we are live. All right. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the City of Salem Bond Oversight Committee for June 26, 2025. Do we do a little roll call? I'm Julie Hoy.
Linda Nishioka.
Urban M. Brown.
Mike Aaron. Court Wright.
All right. And Paul isn't with us today?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right. I'd like to move for approval of the May 22, 2025 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Ooh, I have a motion and a second by Courtwright. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone signed up for public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Do we need to all agree on the motion? We have a motion and a second.
You bet. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Aye.
What a surprise. Okay, public comment, and is anyone signed up? Okay, thank you. We're on to action items. Fire equipment update.
Woo-hoo.
Share my screen.
Good afternoon. How we doing?
Really good.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. So I'm Assistant Fire Chief Brian Crime, standing in for the fire chief. Fire chief had a previous engagement, so I'm gonna help kind of walk you all through what we're requesting to the bond committee.
Sugar.
So
I'm so sorry, you guys.
It's all right.
Slideshow. Come on, baby, from the beginning. There we go. All right, perfect.
So currently, we're talking about airbags. When we talk about airbags, we talk about life-saving equipment. So currently, our current airbags are 20+ years old. So when we buy them brand new. After 5 years, we do a water testing, we hydro testing to make sure they're still viable. And they're at the point where they're past their lifespan. So it's not something that we had planned to buy, but when we looked at the overall savings of what we've done and how we manage the bond funds, we are just under $25 million where we spent so far, and we had $26 million to spend on equipment. So we are presenting the purpose of the request is to buy new airbags for the fire department to be able to replace the current ones that we have. You want to go to the next slide, Kelly? So they're essential for life-saving rescues, entrapments, collapse structures, industrial incidents, and then we have all different kinds of sizes for the airbags. They expand our rescue capabilities with increased lifting power. So if you have a collapsed structure or a car on top of another car or a car on top of another person, we'd use these bags to be able to lift them up the person. We do have life-saving equipment right now that currently does that with our what people call jaws of life, our extrication equipment, but that is not a real stabilized piece of equipment to be able to use for prolonged extrication when it comes to lifting things off of people. So our request is to replace the current outdated equipment, and we've had them fail during our training exercise, not had them fail in a rescue. So I'm going to go to the next slide. So the cost to replace the current equipment is basically $113,000. Not a small number by any means, but the overall goal is to save lives and to have the proper equipment for our personnel. And bottom line is this purchase will equip our responders with safe, reliable, and modern lifting equipment for years to come, hopefully the next 10 to 20 years. Our bags are failing, and we don't want them to fail when we actually need them. So
I agree.
Of course. Can you review again, Brian, the amount of money we used? There was 24 and we have 26.
yeah, so I talk really fast. So currently we were allotted $26 million to purchase equipment. So that's equipment to replace on the aging equipment on fire engines, to outfit new fire engines and buy all the fleet, to basically replace the fleet. So as of this morning, we've spent $24,701,000. So that's just allotted. That's coming out of the bank account. We've also had some expenditures are still through the process. So I estimate as of this morning that we've allotted about $25 million to spend $25 million. I do expect that we will spend anywhere between 25 and 25.5. So we'll still have a $500,000 savings if this is approved today. So.
So as a follow-up question, do you anticipate that this might be the end of the equipment needs for now? Or do you foresee potentially other needs coming up and kind of an idea of what those might be?
No, I do believe this is, well, this is the end of additional equipment. I have allotted, we have 4 vehicles still coming. They're still waiting for to be delivered. And there's upfit costs. I have money set aside for those upfit costs and for the equipment on those vehicles. So I do believe that this is one of the last of the big purchases for the bond, unless we do have more savings and the fire chief identifies other equipment that he would like to bring to the bond committee to purchase.
But in your opinion, this will be sort of the last true need for equipment.
I don't want to say the last true need. I want to say this is the tail end of our needs.
There you go.
So we've tried to tried to forecast our needs. This is just one of the last items that we've been waiting to see if we've had savings to be able to bring to the committee to ask for.
Thank you.
Counselor Brown, go ahead.
Oh, thanks, Madam Mayor. Chief, good to see you as always. Question for you, or Mr. CFO. So when does our fiscal year start again? Does it start July 1
Correct.
for new funds? Got it. And Chief, so there's a total of, was it 17 bags? Airbags?
I don't know.
Yes.
How many bags? Is it 17 bags on there?
17.
Yep.
Okay, so with that 17, is it divided up between all the different houses, or how does that work?
No, it goes, those bags go under our ladder trucks and our heavy rescue that we're still waiting. We have a medium rescue right now that's currently outfitted with them. So it would be replaced on a total of 4 apparatus, right? The backup ladder as well. So 4 apparatus.
Got it. And one final question. You had said that if we do purchase these, we have roughly, what, $500,000 left in the account?
After all the upfit is done on the four additional apparatus we're still waiting for it to receive. Yes, I predict, don't hold me to a hard number, but I do estimate that we'll have about 500 grand left over after everything is said and done. Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. I have no more questions.
Yes, Mike, go ahead.
So you said these are replacement. How many of each of the 3 do we currently have? Or is it a 1-for-1 replacement?
It's essentially, it's a 1-for-1. We had a committee that's, with the personnel that use the equipment, went back through, looked at our systems, tested everything, and it's a 1-for-1.
I just have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
I thought I heard that the old bags are like 5 years old, is that?
They're
correct?
20 years.
20, okay.
Yeah, we hydro test them at 5 years.
Oh, that's,
So-
okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, we've had 2 bags, not a catastrophic failure, but they've blistered.
Yeah.
So, and that's not a good thing when it comes to the life-saving equipment. That's why we're here now, to be able to bring it. And again, we wanted to wait till we actually had savings to be able to see if we could afford to buy them. So, because it was not in the list of overall equipment that we wanted to buy when we started the process.
Yes.
So the counselors have asked almost all of my questions. Just a quick follow-up to this question. So the oldest are 20 years old. Are they all purchased at the same time?
Yes.
Great. I think it's a great use of the funds we have available. Any further questions? Shall we take it to, shall we have a motion? Yes, please. Okay, do you want to make a motion?
Certainly, I move to approve the replacement equipment for the fire department. Do I need to say the actual name?
Second.
Second by Brown.
Thank you, ma'am.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Great. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you folks.
Thank
for your
you.
time. I really appreciate all that
Thanks
you
for
all do.
being here.
Thank you.
We are on to item B, redundant fiber project, Center Street Bridge.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Barnes, Assistant City Engineer. I work for Alan and I will fill in for him today on this item. I probably-
Alan? Or were you doing?
I was-
Oh, okay, good. I was like, did I put you in the spot?
I probably won't have the same level of comedy that Alan tries to bring.
Okay.
But we'll try to bring some levity to it. So today what we're talking about is the redundant fiber project. So in the bond, there was $2 million that was funded for redundant fiber. And to kind of give you a little bit of an idea, there's a 11/17 map that is in your packet. Kelly, if you could bring that
Yes,
up real
sir.
quick. So So this 11x17 kind of shows you how our fiber optic network currently runs around the city. And if you were to trace all of those lines, you would see that it doesn't loop all the way around. And so what ends up happening is there's some points within the system that if they break, then we lose communication on everything downstream from there. So part of what was included in the bond was basically two different additional items to be able to kind of make this redundant loop. So on the map, you can kind of see at the very top, there's a Portland Road and Shamawa fiber optic improvements that would connect basically the northern end of the system. And then you come down through Kaiser because we control all of the traffic signals up there. And on the south end, there's a little bit out on Kubra Boulevard that is as well that is currently missing fiber there that can make that completion. And the beauty of fiber is if you have a redundant loop like this, if there is a break, it can the light can just go a different direction to get there when we're doing the communication and everything. So it's completing this loop will make it essential to be able to allow us to communicate with all of our traffic signals, but then also with communication between fire stations, and a lot of the city buildings are all connected to our fiber system as well. So that was kind of what the initial idea was, and there was also ideas of how to do some additional redundant fiber downtown in case we had any issues that would need to basically bring it into play. So that's where we're at today is with the discussion about the Center Street Bridge project. So there is a summary document, City of Salem Downtown Fiber Optic Network Improvements, that has a cost estimate and a little map associated with that. And if you look at the map, what we have is down on Center Street, there's the ODOT funded Center Street Bridge seismic retrofit project that is happening. Starts next year, thank you. And some of the in-ground work that they're going to be doing is in conflict with where we have existing conduit and fiber optic system now. So when we saw this, we thought, okay, this is something where we can do something simple to just try and get it out of the way really fast, but this doesn't help us in the aspect of our redundant needs within downtown. So we met with, as a group, IT and Public Works met, not this past Monday, but the Monday before. And we looked at all the different needs that we have out here for redundancy. And so we worked to kind of look at a combined project for the downtown that would meet not only the needs of the Center Street Bridge relocation, but also the needs of other things that are down in there. So we have basically a proposal in front of you that would use a portion of the $2 million to do basically three things. One, it would relocate the fiber and conduit as part of the ODOT project, but it would in advance of that, it would connect fiber basically from Trade Street and the IT building, 295 Church Street, thank you. And would run through existing conduit and junction boxes to connect onto some fiber at Center Street. And then would also include a new connection over to the Willamette Valley Communication Center for 911 and everything. And by installing those ahead of time, we can basically take the fiber down where the Center Street Bridge work is going to be and have no interruptions. So when we looked at all the costs for everything and all the needs of the $2 million, we basically are believing that we're in pretty good shape as far as what we can do with things. The big map showed that we had 800 for Portland Road, the northern piece, and we had 450 for the southern piece. If we use this the requested 350 for downtown and the redundancy there, that will still give us a remaining about 400 and some odd thousand for any other needs that may come up as well. So that is in a nutshell what we're trying to talk about here is to basically, since this bond funded project was not really defined with hey, we're going to build McGillcrest or we're going to build, State Street or something like that. That's why we worked as a committee to come up with what are the needs that would normally be funded within the realm of that scope of work. So we are coming to you to ask to use the 350,000 of the 2 million. We would be coming back in the future to identify, to basically when we have well, when the money starts coming into the budget, because I think right now we don't have the full $2 million. I think we have 500,000, as I recall. But when the rest of the money would come in, when Josh gets us the rest of the money, we would be looking at.
There's the humor part.
That's
Yeah. There you go.
So we would be asking for the money for the other two projects at a later time.
If I may, just really quickly, I mean, one concern I had when they first came up with this need. Some of the goals of the original bucket was to create the full redundant loop. So the first question was, are we still able to do that if we use this 350,000? So that's why we originally started this discussion last month and then brought it back because they've completed that work. And it's pretty clear that even with this smaller redundant project, you're still able to complete the larger goal of having a full redundant loop throughout the city.
Just to kind of add on to that, one piece I know we haven't really explored it, but we do have some locations where we do lease it to county and state, and they kind of pay us per month basis or so there is that opportunity to be able to use this fiber to lease it out if needed. But we have to explore that business. But I'm glad that we're doing this.
Councilor Brown, go ahead.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I think I just heard my question answered, but I'll make sure I heard the CFO clearly that this will complete the loop, or will there still be room that we'll have to add?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. So the 350 will create some redundancy downtown. It won't create the full redundancy for the full system, but there's still funding left that's available to complete that work. And then if we're on track with in the next couple of years doing that work, we shouldn't see cost escalation. We should still be able to fund that full redundant project.
Okay, and my follow-up question would be on the slides, I think it was the second one maybe. You had mentioned, our call center 911, and I think the loop includes that, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That is correct. My understanding is that by connecting WVCC to this fiber, we'll actually have an operational savings because we're currently paying Comcast for our connections there. So there's some ongoing savings by making that connection.
Right. And I'm all for that. My question would be, how does that impact whether or not the call center is moved? Because I know that the council or the chief, we've talked about moving that center. Is that going to impact, if we have to relay the fiber later on, or how does that work out?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Any fiber connection for a separate facility would be really discussed with whatever facility that is. And depending where it is, especially with this redundant fiber loop, I think we'll have a connection closer by that we can still connect to any new facility. But WVCC will be in a much better spot, even for the next several years that they're still located at their current location.
Oh, Mr. CFO, thank you for sharing that, because that was my concern. Like, if we had to relocate, would we have to lay down more fiber? But if we don't, then I like the plan.
And just to be clear, there likely will be additional fiber needed with whatever their location is. It'll just be figuring out how to get it connected to our current fiber loop.
And that's
Okay.
a ways off.
It is.
Yeah, but also this gives us more options.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Did you have
thank
some-
you.
Councilor
Thanks, Madam Mayor.
I do have a couple questions. First question is, because of the streetscape projects that have been going on, those were also funds for utilities, and I'm assuming part of those utilities were fiber. That's what I understood when I was on that committee. Is this just some of the areas that aren't part of the
streetscape area?
Yeah.
So the utilities for streetscape are usually like any of the water, sewer, electrical work that
So
are
it doesn't include fiber.
correct. And so we try to think about that ahead of time for the whole lighting system, and it's as we've systematically gone through those different block faces, there's a lot of utility work associated with it because PGE's got old stuff down there, and so we coordinate and kind of almost like master plan it ahead of time so we know where the new service cabinets and everything are going to go. But yeah, this fiber is a different setup.
is different, so that can't be incorporated. Fiber in those areas is not able to be incorporated in the streetscape project. I'm just trying to understand if it can be in a different bucket for some areas to make sure that we're getting everything connected, especially downtown.
If there was any gonna be any any of the existing conduit work that needed to be replaced, could be done with a streetscape project. But the work that's being shown here now, coming up from Trade Street up to Center Street, that's already going through existing conduit and junction boxes.
Okay,
So there shouldn't be any additional needs
okay,
there.
okay. So you're just improving
of
what
we-
and extending.
Right.
So there was a mention, maybe it was you, Josh, that talked about counties and then you were saying that this could potentially be leased out.
Yeah, so we have been talking about this for a while, but I don't think we have ever gotten to kind of the full implementation. So the city owns fiber because of the traffic signals and all the other thing. But as we are expanding fiber, it also gives us like this multiple locations where if we have to lease out our strands, like the fiber to businesses, or so there is a way for us to provide that service to business owners or the constituents. It's a big project, I know, but my point is this also kind of expands that possibility of us kind of being in that business. And we are currently, I think, we have a contract with the county where they do pay us for leasing our fiber. I think 2 different locations, right?
I'm not sure.
2 locations, I think. So state gets like 1, I think. So we are making some money, not a whole lot.
I think we can definitely make more as we get into it. And I'll just add on, when we say we're extending fiber, there's multiple strands. So it's not just everyone's tied into one strand, they're just trying to traffic signal. Additional strands are put in. there.
Okay, that's helpful to know.
Granted or leased.
We usually put in at least a 96 pair or 96 fiber cable when we're doing all this type of stuff.
Like I understand what that is.
So to be honest, a lot of the traffic signals we could actually control with probably just 2 fibers, one in and one out. And we put in 96, so there's a whole bunch
Okay,
of
so
redundancy.
So we use like a maximum 6, right? So you have like
Right.
90 that you could be leasing out to other
Got it,
people.
okay, that's,
It's like sitting there, not doing anything. So our conversation was we could make some money for general fund.
a follow-up. So we're fixing the loops where we have the, I guess, the marked.
The missing pieces.
The missing pieces. Now, I also see lots of lines that are straight, but it doesn't seem to incorporate like all kinds of places. Do we need to be looking at increasing inside that loop?
I think long-term, yes, there's opportunities to do that. So there are, as you mentioned, there are dead ends still within the loop.
Yeah, there's a lot of
But the loop,
difference.
it gives us opportunities to connect to it in the
Okay.
future. So the goal is to try and get that main loop completed. And then there'll be opportunities to go.
And then see from there, okay. Just seems like there's a lot of still,
There's still a lot, yeah. and
a lot of opportunities of fiber needed.
Right, a lot of that loop was completed with the 2008 Streets and Bridges bond.
Oh,
So
all
that's
right.
where. Big chunk of that.
Go ahead, Mike.
One question that's probably easy to answer, are any of the portions of the Portland Road or the Kubler Loop outside city limits? So does the county,
West
should the
June.
county be involved in?
So I can tell you the county has actually already been a big partner in a lot of this stuff. Pretty much everything you see going down Corden Road down through here was actually installed by the county.
I can't remember exactly where all the
Right.
zigs and zags are.
Kubler down here, I know that's all within the city. I think when we get up.
This corner is all in the city too, but I'm
Yeah.
not, that's where I was more curious about that.
We didn't put a city limits line on here and it wasn't because we didn't want
It's really
to,
close.
you know, but I think it's really close.
Okay, so that was one question. The second question is, what's the timeline? What is I know we're waiting for the additional, or the rest of the $2 million for this project. What's the timeline for these two? I'm kind of trying to understand what underpins or what assumptions are made, the confidence that we have the money and that it's not gonna adjust too much. Are we simply talking about laying additional cable through existing conduit in these spots here, or do you have to go in we're gonna trench and lay it on ourselves.
So the stuff on Kubler is actually existing conduit that's down there. The stuff that goes up Portland Road, that would actually go on it would be a combination of underground and overhead. That is a new
That is new
section.
section, okay.
Yeah.
But they're still pretty confident.
We have a very healthy contingency right now in the estimate that we have done, so we feel very strong about.
That's the latest, I think, that's currently planned for is 2028.
Yes.
Okay, so still a couple of years.
Can I ask a question, but were you finished, Mike?
Yeah.
A question about overhead versus underground. I just kind of had a sense that underground, or overhead was a thing of the past. Do you do that where you just can't go underground?
We do, and there now, it has been getting to be more cost effective to go underground depending on what the existing status is of other communications cables on the power poles. So there's a lot of other groups that are out there that take up the communication space, and there's only so much communication space. So if it's already full, if you want to put something up there, then then PGE says, well, okay, then you just have to replace all of our power poles through here to be able to make it taller. Well, as soon as they say that, then it makes it much more cost effective to bore it underground and just put it in a conduit.
Well, thank you for that.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
I had a couple of questions, maybe to follow up on what's already been said. So the ODOT reimbursement, is that because this is on ODOT right of way? Is that correct? So this is obligated, okay, great. And I was wondering in terms of,
I'm sure it's great.
I understand it, yes. Then for the downtown, so this is using existing conduits, we're not seeing anything that's gonna be tearing up streets or sidewalks as part of doing this. Okay, great.
I mean, there might be a little panel here and there where I'm not gonna say there's no sidewalk or anything, but the majority of this is all existing out there.
Great. And one final question, which is, you said there may be other things that you want to identify once these two are funded.
Right.
Where do you have kind of expectations about where we go from here in terms of additional redundancy?
I think part of it is what Brian was talking about earlier.
I don't know that we have that yet. I mean, the goal was to complete the loop, and then once we get that done, we can get other extensions if there's one. You know, the 400,000 or more is still available. And that may be based on other needs of, maybe we want to connect some more traffic signals, or there's businesses coming in that we could maybe use some of that fiber out to. So that there'll be homework to do with that before we make any of those decisions.
Anything further? We need a motion.
Yes.
So I would say that the motion would be for this one fiber project to move forward with the fiber project for downtown and closing the loop. How do you?
So to allocate 350,000 of safety and livability bond funding for the downtown fiber optic network.
I move to allocate $350,000 for the fiber optic improvements for closing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Heron. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion passes. Thank you for your
You're very welcome.
humorous presentation.
You should sell tickets.
We're taking them on the road.
I'm gonna get going. If that's okay. We're past action items.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for taking over, Linda.
All right, so,
Dr. Brown was.
okay, everybody go right.
I can watch this later, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So we are
Feeling better, thank you,
new items,
yes.
and I see that we have none. And then we have management update and information items. So are you giving the information on McGill
Yes,
Crest?
ma'am. I'll
All
talk to you
right.
about Miguel Crest, and then after that, I'll talk about our 2025 pavement R&R project.
You are the
So-
roadshow right now.
So that's what it feels like. It does. So Miguel
Driver.
So McGillcrest project is moving forward well. We still have a bunch of utility relocation work that is happening. I can tell you, I couldn't be happier with my project manager who's out there. He's just doing a bang up job as far as we're working with the adjacent businesses and all that kind of. Is there something I don't know about?
No.
Okay. Or is it because I said a bang up job on a construction project?
You're just smiling, we're happy, we're happy.
Okay. No, he's doing a great job and working with them in every way, shape that he can. One of the, and so what has recently happened is if you haven't been out there lately, we actually have right now a narrowish 12-foot wide, one lane roadway that goes through there. So kind of a temporary access road. Originally, people were running on gravel and it was very confusing on kind of where they were supposed to be at and everything. And we worked with the contractor on different ways to try and accelerate the project, make sure that we're able to get it all constructed this summer. And so they actually just got done paving on the south side of the road, a nice connection point. So it's very easy for motorists to come through here and all they have to do is follow the black road and they'll, that black asphalt, and they'll get through there. So that has been very helpful on that. And again, the contractor is doing a great job on it too. So it's just a lot of stuff going on in a tight area with people going through. So that was, what I was gonna tell you on the current phase, and then we're still going well on
I wonder if we could write the business impacts. So there's definitely been business impacts out there. They all send email. Some of you have probably already seen that. We've done the best we can with message boards and putting signs up, business open, wide open. So I don't know if that's made a huge difference or not, but we tried to do what we could do.
Because there's a few restaurants
Mhm.
and I think that bar that's down there that
Yeah.
probably is being impacted because people don't know that they can go down there. I know I avoid going down all the way, but I use it section that's open. So I'll just simply comment too that, with all the work that's now on 25th, they're doing a great job. The lane is clearly marked with all of the orange markers and people are speeding appropriately or, traveling appropriate speed. And so I feel like that's, everybody's doing the best they can. I know there's still a lot of questions about trees and about sidewalk and about bicycle paths, so, but again, I would just want to say that I feel like you're managing the best you can with the
What we're
situation.
trying to do.
First, I want to say, I love speeding appropriately. I'm curious, are you on schedule? Did I miss that in terms of?
So the utilities relocation work, there has been a lot of additional challenges that are there. And so part of the paving work that we just did was to be able to allow the contractor to get back onto schedule. So right now we are still on schedule to get it constructed and finished this construction season, plus or minus a couple weeks here and there. So, but yes, we're doing everything we can to get it constructed this year.
Is that in November? When you say, when is that season, like during this construction season?
Usually October is the end of our construction season.
Okay.
What impact, has there been an impact to the project costs because of those challenges with utilities?
Well, fortunately, this project came in very well, so budget wise, we're fine there. We have made notices to the utilities as far as any delay costs that we receive from the contractor. We're gonna turn around and basically try and pass back on to them as those delays, because we had worked over the past year to help them with the plans, so they knew where they could move everything out of. And again, I don't know if it's whoever's the squeakiest wheel gets them to move quicker or what, but they missed their deadline by way over a month. So the contractor came in to start working and then he had to leave because he didn't have enough room to work. And so there's gonna be some costs there, but we've already notified utilities that it's gonna be on their nickel as much as we can.
Okay.
Anything else to add with
That is what I was gonna bring about from Hillcrest.
So let me, just to have, us all reminded, so you're doing the section from, what is it, 20th to 25th, is that right now where you are, and then 25th? And then the plan will be, to be doing, from,
20, the new intersection that was built last year is at 22nd. 22nd. So all the work, west of there will happen with the next
and
project.
so that would be in, what, 27, 28?
Yes, yes.
And
Barring any railroad challenges or
barring
Environmental permitting.
environmental permit, I mean, there's a lot of, we're working with the railroad and it's a major crossing, right, that we're doing right there. And, there's just a lot of wild cards that are there.
Last question, it's not really not a question, but in a couple neighborhood associations, primarily Cessna, there's still talk about, is it Wallings Pond or Wallings Lake there? That again, questions are, can the city ever take that over? It's not being kept up, and so I don't know, because you're working right near there right now, and so I don't know if they're maybe just waiting for the work to be done before they reopen to let people fish there. I don't know. Do you know anything?
I don't know anything.
Okay.
I haven't heard either. I can look into it a little bit more.
Okay. I know it's been an ongoing for Cessna because it's in there and their neighborhood.
Are they talking on the north side of McGilchrist to the west of 22nd, or are
Yeah.
they talking about the pond right next to?
It's the
21st
pond
Street?
that of Wallings, I think it is, and I think it's privately owned, but I guess it's not being well maintained. They allow people to come and fish there.
So we can maybe talk about.
It's on the,
That sounds like,
I don't know what you're talking about. It's on the north side, right across from Salmon Run.
okay,
It's kind of was behind, I hate to say this, but it's the pond that was sort of behind the Honey Bucket Company.
so it's,
I don't know that the Honey Bucket's still there, but that's that's.
Yeah, we'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was more, I was just questioning if there was any connection between the work done. Thank you. Any other questions for him on McGilchrist? All right, then we'll move on to the next project, Rick.
All right, so, throughout all of this, we've been trying to bring information back as far as how bids are coming in on projects, to be able to answer some of your questions, Bob, over the months that we've been meeting and everything. And the last bid that we received that was a biggie that came in was the 2025 pavement R&R, which is essentially Silverton Road from 17th Street all the way to the other side of Hawthorne. So it's a long stretch, and we brought this to the committee a couple times to talk about the scope of the project and the like. So bids came in very well on that project. Our engineer's estimate was about $8.9 million. We had 6 bids on it. Our low bid was $5.2 million.
Whoa.
Now, before you start thinking we saved $3 million on the project, okay? That is not quite the case. So this project had multiple funding sources. Probably half of it was funded by the North Gateway URA. And that was doing the whole Silverton and 17th realignment work and everything like that. So my staff has been looking at each of the different schedules of the bid to be able to determine the different pots of money. How are we looking, essentially? And what they have found is that the bond funded portion, so the pavement R&R and all the restriping work and signals associated work, is pretty much right on line with what we had in budget. So we're not having to ask for any more money there. But the majority of the savings is actually in the area that the URA is paying for. So there's about just over $2 million of savings that are there. But that, again, is really for the work that was within the URA.
And that's basically the 17th
Street intersection, right? Yeah. And I can't remember where the border is on the end of the URA, but
that's that.
But that's the thing. But it was good news. It was good news that we didn't have to come back and ask for more money. So.
and then that allowed the alternative bid items to go forward with the segment. road diet,
The road diet section and then, yeah, basically all the way up to Hawthorne. So, yeah, it'll continue up through there.
Does any of this area include bikeways or is it just, it does, okay,
All the way.
okay, wonderful, all right.
It's road diet, so we're
Road
going
diet,
from
oh,
4
got
to 3 in a lot of ways.
Thank you, I, that's what I thought, I just wanted to be reminded.
Yep.
The Northgate URA, is that one that's getting close to being closed out? In the sense of like 28 or something, is that?
Yeah, that's correct.
That's
So we'll
third one?
stop, we'll stop collecting tax increment, but we'll keep the area open because we have dollars outstanding for project.
So then my next question was, are there any identified projects that need, that would be using that URA, Northgate URA? And if so, would this project be taking too much away?
I think there's savings actually.
There's savings
from what I
in the URA.
understand, so I think
Okay,
we'd actually be looking at other ways to spend in the area.
okay, that's, so this is an appropriate way to spend it and use it?
I would want to make sure we actually finish before we count
Yes,
those savings.
yes.
Okay,
Because there could still be things in terms of rivers and.
We just kind of wanted to look at everything to make sure that, you know, is there bond savings or is there URA savings, you know, or is everything gonna be, you know, above water and it looks pretty good, so.
wonderful, thank you for doing all that work. I'll check in, yes.
I just asked, did the unit costs of the different components of the project come out pretty much as you expected in terms of the bond funding portion, or were things different? I mean, I understand the total was pretty much.
Right, we've received unit costs this year that were, I don't want to say much lower, but lower than what we were expecting. I mean, McGillcrest was one that came in lower, this one came in lower. Which I haven't noticed the price of the pumps going down at all, so it's kind of, I don't know how asphalt prices can be going down where they are, other than they're just hungry for work out there. I mean, having 6 bidders and these are the big companies from around here, Knife River, Howe, Emery and Sons, Norcenium Paving, Kerr, Carter and Company. I mean, these are all big companies. So they're all looking for work. So I think it's just the competition on stuff that has caused the unit prices to be where they're at right now.
There's some uncertainty in the, sorry, Brian, there's some uncertainty in the transportation sector right now. So I think this job was attractive because it goes over into the next construction season. So there's work through the winter and into next year. So I think we timed it right as far as getting the job on the line.
Yeah.
Great.
the other thing we heard is that the development community is slowing down. That there's more people that are hungry. Like I heard, I think one of our bidders was, you said do a lot of development work and they're just not seeing it as much, so.
Any differences from the different bids in the amount of layers of asphalt? And sometimes I hear that not enough layers are placed and it needs to be redone sooner. That's what people have told me, and I don't know if there's any validity to that or if you recognize any differences within the bidding, if that has anything to do with the different bids.
Sure. So everybody would be being held to the same amount of asphalt they're putting down, and actually we hold them to sometimes with layers, you can get people who, instead of doing 2 lifts, they try to do it all in one, which saves them labor costs. But if you've ever tried to compact something like that, you can get it nice and tight on the very top of it, but it's nowhere near as good on the bottom. So we specify how thick their layers can be and everything.
Okay.
But we do an analysis after the bidding to be able to look to see if there's any sort of unbalanced bid items or anything, or if somebody's trying to do something that just doesn't, kind of shady with how they're trying to put their bid together, and everybody look good on this, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And at least state that when people
Yeah.
tell me that.
So there's a design, the pavement is designed, so it's not only the asphalt, but it's also the rock that's underneath
The
it
layers underneath.
to support, 10-year, 15-year, 20-year design life. Generally we try to go 15 to 20 years. And so that dictates how thick the asphalt is and how thick the base is. And so they all have to bid to that section. So no one's undermining someone else, but they're
Okay,
they're all bidding the same thing.
Maybe one other important fact to answer a question like that too is we have inspectors on the job to make sure they're doing it just like it's specified in the whole time, so. Making sure every single one of those layers is put down the way it's supposed to be.
Another good thing I can tell those. All right, good. Anybody, anything else? Anything else, Rick?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Then now it looks like we want to talk about the meeting time. So I think the two of you received emails about how we don't get to have food. And so there was concern that if this is your lunch hour and it's needed, do you want to move the time? And if so, what would work for you? So
As far as I'm concerned, the time is fine. I could probably stand and miss a few lunches.
Right, I enjoyed the lunches, but the time is fine. If it works for everybody else, I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here.
and I think that was kind of what we had. We just wanted to make sure that everyone felt that way. I think it's almost more difficult to change the time of a meeting because we get used to it. But at the same time, we wanted to make sure that the others, the two of you, were okay with missing the meal.
Thank you for your service.
Yes.
Thank you for your.
And of course, you're always welcome to bring a sack lunch, or pick something up on your way. We would not be offended if we're all watching you eating, well, we may not be. So, all right, then we'll just keep it at the same time. Thank you. Good. Any continued business? There's none. I guess then I will get to call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, ma'am.
And look at that, we got done before.
Yes.
So you were right.